Welcome to Tea Time. Today with me, Chetty Narula. We're at a rather picturesque and a very well manicured DLF Golf and Country Club right here in Gurgaon. Now, growing businesses, rising incomes, and of course, a digitally connected world. Is the hospitality sector in the first gear or the fourth gear? We're going to find out today with Dilip Puri of Starwood Hotels and Resorts. On the show this week, we have Dilip Puri, MD India and South Asia, Starwood Hotels and Resorts.
Biggest opportunity is to make sure that how do we get them to be familiar with our brands in India so that when they travel internationally, they look for Starwood brands, be it W, be it Sheraton, be it Westin.
In news, Mikko Alonen wins Nordea Masters by 3 shots, and Alabama wins its first national championship in men's golf. Hi, Dilip. Welcome to Tea Time.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for having me at the DLF Golf and Country Club.
Happy to be here with you.
You're a member, and is this where you regularly play? Is this your home course?
Indeed, I am a member here. It's been my home course since the time I've been in Delhi.
Right.
But my original home course was in Pune, actually.
Which one was that?
The Pune Club golf course.
Interesting.
That's when I learned how to play golf.
And what's your handicap now?
It kind of anywhere between 17, 18, 19, depending on the day of the week.
So golf for business, golf for pleasure?
A bit of both, actually.
Really?
It started off for pleasure.
Right.
Suddenly I found that it was bringing in more business to my hotels as well, so it continued to be both business and pleasure, I guess.
Talking about business, now we're seeing rising disposable income, we're seeing a digitally connected world. We are seeing that although the economic recovery is gyrating quarter to quarter, there is a conspicuous rise in disposable income, and the tourism industry also seems to be picking up. On the back of all these facts, how is the hotel industry doing?
Well, let me put it this way. I like to use the expression that we're living in an age of great change. When you look at the rapid levels of urbanization, when you look at the amount of investments being made in infrastructure globally, not just in India. In fact, they say that we will be spending more on infrastructure in the next 40 years than we have since the beginning of time. So it just tells you how changing the world is. And I think the hospitality industry is probably amongst those sectors which very rapidly adapts itself to this global change which is happening. And from India's perspective, we're seeing this huge rise, as you said, in disposable income. We're seeing this middle class just go richer, the rich getting even more richer. So I think it's safe to say that the industry is well on its way. Clearly, there are challenges in terms of infrastructure development and many other factors, but from India's perspective, we remain a seriously under-hotel market, and therefore I believe that the industry has got very, very strong opportunities.
You know, talking about India being an under-hotel market, I'm going to discuss with you on that a little more in detail, but you know, with global headwinds and the economic recovery gyrating from quarter to quarter, does that somewhere put the hospitality sector in the fourth gear? Or would you say it's stuck somewhere in between?
Well, you know, you're right. We do look at things quarter to quarter, but, you know, we're clearly an extremely long-term industry. Even when you look at how investments are made in hotels, it's a lot like infrastructure, so there's no instant gratification. You spend 3 to 4 years building, you spend 3 to 4 years stabilizing, then you start seeing money coming in.
Sure.
It's also a very cyclical business as well.
Correct.
So when you look at when you look at quarter on quarter, yes, I think the last 8 to 10 quarters have not necessarily been exciting. But again, when you look at India's perspective, some of what the government announced late last year, FDI in aviation, in retail, in insurance, this stimulates travel. and the first beneficiaries of stimulation in travel are typically hotels.
Interesting.
So I think we are seeing 2013 to be a better year than 2012.
Right.
Not significantly so.
Okay.
But given the circumstances, I don't think we can really complain.
Okay, we'll discuss a little more on the trends that are going to be setting in into the hospitality sector in the year 2013 in more detail, but time now for me to tee off.
All right, that's good.
Much better,
Yeah,
isn't it?
got a lift.
Your legacy at Starwood dates back to 1973 when you all set up. After that, you all have seen great stellar success in your hotels. You've also built about 37 properties till date. You also have a timeline set until 2015 to establish 100 more properties in the country. Are you on track with that timeline?
Yes, I'd like to believe that we're not just on track, but we would expect to exceed that target as well. One of the things which we're seeing changing in India is the opportunities for conversions. So it's not no more about just new buildings which are coming up as hotels because the pace of development takes so long. What we're seeing is a lot of the domestic brands, a lot of the independent hotels in India are finding it more and more difficult to compete given that the international brands are here. And many of them now are coming forward to say, we'd like an alliance or a partnership and we want one of your brands. So I think that's kind of an opportunity which will really allow us to grow really, really fast over the next 2 to 3 years. So I would like to believe that we could even exceed that target of having over 100 hotels either in operation or under development by 2015.
India is, of course, expecting the W hotels from your portfolio. When are we likely to see W hotels come down to India?
Well, we've actually got 4 W hotels under development in India as we speak.
In terms of when will it be operational?
Right. So the first one we expect to open in Goa by the third quarter of 2014.
Okay.
And really looking forward to that. That will be the first one to open. And we're also building W's in Mumbai, in Noida, and in Gurgaon. And a lot more development efforts on to bring that brand into India. I think the resonation of the W brand in India is interesting because the passion points for W are typically music, fashion, design. And today, as Indians are traveling, as they're growing more discerning, these passion points are resonating with them. For example, Condé Nast Traveler, Travel and Leisure magazine, Indian readers have voted W hotels as their favorite hotels when they travel abroad.
Right.
So I think there's a real expectation about bringing that brand to India, and we clearly are very excited about that.
So as India pegs their hope for W hotels, which is likely to be operational in 2014, as Dilip pointed out, we will find out from Dilip Puri his views on the kind of paradigm shift he's expecting from the tourism and from the hotel industry as a whole. All this and more on the other side of this break. Take a quick break right here on Tea Time. Dilip and I will see you on the other side. Welcome back to Tea Time. We're in conversation with Dilip Puri of Starwood Hotels and Resorts, and on this segment we will find out the kind of paradigm shift that Dilip is expecting in terms of policies in the tourism and, of course, the hospitality sector as a whole.
A couple of things we've already seen happening where the government's been very active in introducing the visa on arrival scheme that just kind of encourages
foreign tourists
into India. The other thing the government's recognizing is this huge growth of domestic travel and therefore trying to create more tourism, let's say like religious tourism, cultural tourism, social tourism. If you look at this amazing campaign in Gujarat, the one which Amitabh Bachchan does, it has really fueled more travel into Gujarat despite the state being under prohibition and no alcohol available. But people are going back to see their roots, to see the culture. And I think that's very, very encouraging for the sector as a whole. And I think that's where the government's role needs to be, to facilitate tourism. We don't expect the government to be investing in tourism.
But of course, acting as facilitators, obviously. Now, on the luxury market, you have St. Regis, you have W, you've got the luxury collection as well. How is the appetite in terms of the occupancy rates looking like in India for the upper class luxury brands that you have in the country?
I think the appetite for luxury continues to grow in India. And again, it's all about rising wealth. But here's a very interesting point. India is one of the few countries where luxury hotels existed with domestic players. Indians have already had that taste of what luxury is in India, and therefore the appetite is even more whetted. They're traveling so much more. They're looking for these luxury products all over the world. And I think there's a continuing story for luxury travel in India. There's no doubt that the big story is the volumes in middle-class travel and mid-market hotels, but I don't think luxury hotels are going away. I think more and more will get built, better quality, providing better services, and making sure that the Indian traveler who's now used to that level of luxury continues to get it.
So you continue to be bullish on the luxury market in India as far as hotels is concerned at this point of time for the long-term hospitality story in India, is it?
Very much so, and that's largely because our DNA is essentially in luxury. As you said, W, St. Regis, the luxury collection. That's what we do. It's our bread and butter. So for us, making sure that we stay in that segment and grow that segment in India is a very big part of our strategy.
All right, interesting. I'll continue my game now.
Okay.
Come.
You're looking up. Very you're looking up. Just keep your eye on the ball. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so we were speaking about luxury sector. Now, are Indians getting more sophisticated? With sophistication, of course, they become more demanding as well. So are you seeing that nature kind of setting into Indians?
Interesting. I think clearly they're getting sophisticated. But more than demanding, Indians are always demanding. I think they're becoming more discerning.
Okay. They're becoming discerning as consumers.
That's the big difference for us. The fact that Indians have been demanding, we know. And in fact, in Starwood, we have this amazing program called the Indian Acculturation Program, where we've created an entire Indian program for our international hotels to be able to service the Indian guest better, whether it's the holiday traveler or the wedding traveler. You know, Indian weddings is this big business, and we do hundreds of weddings all over the world, Indian weddings.
It's a big fat Indian wedding culture.
And we're beginning to see that Indians appreciate when you're doing something which is specifically for them, be it the way you greet them, be it the food, be it just, understanding that we've got our own nuances.
Right. Okay, so now shifting our focus a little bit from the discerning and, of course, the demanding Indian as well. Now, the 2011 PricewaterhouseCoopers report indicates that the purchasing power parity in terms of GDP of India could overtake that of the United States by 2045. What are you at Starwood doing to capitalize on this Indian purchasing power parity?
Well, firstly, let me just say I don't even think we might have to wait till 2045. I mean, in the Economic Times, there was a report that the OECD said we're already probably the third largest economy, that we've gone ahead of Japan. But I think the way we capitalize on it is, again, looking at this huge Indian outbound travel market. We've always focused on having tourists come into India, but the Indians traveling abroad, in fact, WTTC says that there will be 50 million Indians traveling internationally by 2020. For Starwood as a global hotel company, that's where the opportunity is. We have 1,050 hotels all over the world. For us, the Indian traveler is now a very rich traveler. So the biggest opportunity is to make sure that how do we get them to be familiar with our brands in India so that when they travel internationally, they look for Starwood brands, be it W, be it Sheraton, be it Westin. And we're beginning to see a huge growth in Indian occupancy in almost all our international hotels, be it New York, be it London, be it Singapore, be it Hong Kong. And I think that's one way in which we will capitalize on it. And as we were speaking earlier, to continue to grow at the luxury end of the market in India is a way of making sure that as India gets richer, as our economy gets bigger, we are able to attract those well-heeled Indian travelers continuously into our hotels.
Now, research is indicating that India's consumer market is 11th largest as of right now in the world and expected to be the 5th largest in the world by the year 2030 as well. At the back of these facts, how are you capitalizing on expanding your footprint in India, given that the consumer market is likely to be the 5th largest in the world by the year 2030?
Yeah, I think we're beginning to see some early trends on that, and a good example is to look at branded retail. You look at the high-end high street retail, so every brand you can think of is here. Most of them look to put their boutiques in 5-star hotels. Not that they sell so much in there, but the visibility they get in that environment from the guy who can afford it, which is why you see all luxury hotels is absolutely the same. So if you look and there's a Louis Vuitton or a Prada in a big luxury hotel, chances are that anybody coming to that store is going to consume products from the hotel as well. And I think that's the way in which we're able to capitalize on this huge growth of consumerism in India. It's not going anywhere. It's going to get bigger and bigger. And I think if you don't catch the boat now, most of those companies are going to fail in the future. We are very cognizant of it and really ready to capitalize on that opportunity.
We're going to actually catch the boat with you with the other trends in the Indian hospitality segment on the other side of this break. It's a good time now for us to take a breather on Tea Time. Dilip and I will see you on the other side. Thank you for staying with us on Tea Time. We're in conversation with Dilip Puri of Starwood Hotels and Resorts. Now, Dilip, the research is showing that Indian tourism industry is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Having said that, it's not really a mainstream industry in India. Why is that happening? Is it that the government somewhere is failing to realize the potential of this industry?
Well, actually, it is an interesting question because if you look at it, tourism contributes almost 6.5% of India's GDP,
correct,
directly and indirectly. It also contributes over 7% of the employment in India. And one has to wonder that why is it not a mainstream industry? Having said that, and I spoke about this earlier, I don't see the government needing to make any big-ticket investments into the industry. They need to facilitate. Where the investments have to go in is infrastructure, accessibility, connectivity. We're seeing that. There are some great green shoots. If you look at the new airport terminals which have come up, starting with Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad. More recently, Chennai is open, Calcutta is open. You go into tier 2 markets. You look at Jaipur, you look at Nagpur, you look at Ahmedabad. So I think, there is a concern about creating that infrastructure. There's no need for us to look at it as a mainstream industry or not, because the government, to a large extent, has done some good work. I mean, you look at the Incredible India campaign. Right. I don't know if you've seen that, but world over, it's won awards. It truly inspires people to look at India as a country which offers what no other country can, spirituality, cultural, all that kind of stuff. And if the government continues to do that, and make investments in that, that's all we're asking for as the industry.
So shifting focus a little now to the Delhi NCR market. In fact, I was in discussion with one of the developers as well of the NCR market, and he says it's now becoming a trend-setting hub. The prices, in fact, are scaling up so much that the middle class is not even being able to afford the NCR. In a scenario like that, how do you forecast trends in the hospitality sector in the Delhi NCR market?
It is the national capital. A lot of investments happen here. A lot of infrastructure gets developed here. Anybody who has to deal with the government has to come here. So I think it was about time that Delhi found its rightful place. Real estate-wise, it's always been Mumbai, right? And you look at Mumbai prices being sometimes 3-4 times what it is in Delhi. I'm not saying that Delhi should not be affordable. And urbanization is key because as India becomes more urban, people will get more jobs. People will have more appetite to consume, appetite to spend, and that's how our economy will grow.
Right.
So I think Delhi NCR, as you said, does have a lot of potential, and it is really about time that we exploit that potential.
Are you finding it a much more viable market in the long-term perspective compared to the mainstream cities?
It is. I think when you compare Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, the three, really classic tier 1 markets, for many years, Mumbai used to be number 1. But that was when there were just a couple of hotels in South Bombay which were kind of raking it in. But today I think Delhi, I believe, has taken over as the number 1 hotel market in the country, and I believe Delhi will maintain that lead for some years to come.
That's a very interesting point you brought up about Delhi becoming number 1 even over Bombay and Bangalore put together. Now, shifting focus a little bit, I read somewhere that Starwood is more about trend lines more than headlines. What is that whole concept about?
Well, I think it was primarily motivated by the fact that don't just think that because you read in the papers every day that the economy is slowed down or inflation is going up, that, suddenly there's nothing going to happen. I think we've got to really look at the trends. Our industry is a cyclical industry. There is going to be good times. There is going to be bad times. The trick is to catch the upswing.
Right.
And that's why we always say that if you look at from 2000 to 2014, don't just look at the last 2 years, or don't just look at post-2008 or post the recession. Look at the whole trend over a decade. India had spectacular growth in the hotel industry between 2003 and 2007. Recession came. It was also a cyclical turnaround. I personally believe that by the end of 2014, the Indian hotel industry will again see an upswing. All the new supply which had to come into the market would have come in by then. Demand would be more robust. There would be a new government in place at the center. Hopefully, we are back on the trajectory of 7-8% economic growth. So starting 2014, we will see another golden age of hospitality in India. And I think that's what is the optimism we should all carry forward.
You know, you spoke about golden age of hospitality sector and, of course, about the new trends that are setting in as well. In fact, Westin's Brian Povinelli was also on the show a little earlier this year. And he did mention about you focusing a lot on golfing estates and golfing resorts and properties. What is the game plan for that? How are you seeing that trend pick up? Is something which may hold a lot of interest to our viewers right now.
Well, clearly, personally speaking, I wish we would do more golf resorts in this country. But while we haven't signed any deals yet, but we are in very active discussions with several developers pan-India
Right.
To be building golf resorts. As you know, golf takes a lot of...
And you think they'll do well?
I think they'll do brilliantly. I think it is an aspirational sport.
Right.
Through the show, we've been talking about the aspirations of the Indian consumer rising.
Right.
I think golf becoming more popular, becoming more affordable.
Right.
And I think it is a sport for the future. And we clearly want to be there. The Westin brand is very, very tuned towards golf globally. As you know, we sponsor Gaganjit Bhullar in India as well. And personally, I'd love to see us doing a golf resort in India. We've got several of them around the world. It is only a matter of time before we have one in India as well.
Lovely. On that note, let's wind up our game.
Thank
Come.
you.
That's a good one. Whoa! Just listen by Vista. You can finish it though. So which is the golfer, Dilip, that inspires you the most, apart from Gaganjit Bhullar, who is your brand ambassador for Westin?
Oh, I think there's no question about it. Tiger Woods has been a favorite of mine from the time he started playing golf. More recently, I've loved watching Rory McIlroy play. I think he's just a very exciting golfer. And I watch television very often to see golf. It's very inspiring for me as well. And I look forward to hopefully being able to play with these guys one day.
Well, that's exciting. I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for being on Tea Time today with me. It was indeed a pleasure to have you today. That's a wrap from Dilip Puri and me, Chaiti Narula, on Tea Time. I will see you next week again. Until then, enjoy the flight of a good drive.